friends, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing a little romanticizing spring vlog. I thought it would be fun to kind of talk about some spring reads, what I'm planning on reading this spring, and I also thought I could include some recommendations of my favorite spring related books. So if you're a reader and you're a mood reader like me, you have something to go off of if you were looking for some recommendations. And then I was also going to take you along on just a few like spring inspired activities. Nothing too crazy, but just like little things that I like to do in the spring months that kind of make me more excited for the season. I'm in love with the kind of transitional seasons like fall and spring. They just make me feel so much happier than winter and summer do for whatever reason. So I like to kind of squeeze every ounce of the season out of them that I can. And so doing kind of like seasonal activities or just like finding ways to adapt your routine to the season just to make it a little bit more enjoyable is always really fun. So let's get into it. Okay, you're sitting on my bookshelf right now. I'm just gonna go ahead and grab a few of the books that I wanted to talk about, and then we will reconvene in the office. Also, we have a little intervention circle. That chair will also be joining soon. The little intervention circle, because very soon we are going to have a dining table. Yay! Also, I was just flabbergasted when I saw this chair on Facebook Marketplace because it pretty much exactly matches the other two chairs that we have. And I thought we could kind of do like a mismatch, eclectic theme. I don't know, it just felt right. Alright, if you are not interested in book content, no worries. I will put the timestamp somewhere on the screen so you can flip ahead. But if you are interested in some spring TBRs, some spring reading lists, then I got you covered. I think I'll start off with the books that I want to get to this spring. This, unfortunately, is like a very familiar pile to me. These books I've had kind of for years, and I haven't gotten around to reading them yet. I'm ashamed, shame. The first one is the one that I am currently reading. This is the second book in a series, so I won't go too far into like the characters in this one. This is Son of the Shadows by Juliet Marillier. First book being Daughter of the Forest. This takes place in like ancient Ireland. Lots of like forests and healing magic and the fairy realm, which I feel is like very, very springy. And her books are very emotional too. So if you want like a spring read that you can really sink your teeth into and like cry with, then these are a good option. I have another book by Juliet Marillier. I think this is another series that she has. This is called Dreamer's Pool. I honestly don't know what it's about, but I know that I like her writing and I know that I want to be that girl on the front cover. You know what I mean? Kind of along a similar vein, but not quite the same, is this book called Elfland by Freda Warrington. So this one is a book that I've had for years. I got it secondhand, purely just based off of the cover because, again, I just wanted to be in the cover. And I think it's like a love story. Maybe there's some spice. And it takes place with like elves and fairies. I can picture reading this like in a park underneath a tree with like a source of running water nearby. So you can hear like the trickling of the water. There are two books that I don't own that I have on hold of the library, which are The Ragpicker King by Cassandra Clare. I actually have that one rented right now on my ebook, so I only have like 5 days left to read it, so I'm hoping to get to that. That one is the sequel to Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. It's not really like a spring related read. It's pretty like heavy romanticy, I would say, but I want to get to it and it's spring, so it's in this list. The other fantasy sequel I want to read is Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales, I think it's called. And that one is the third book to the Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies series. So that one is, again, it's about fairies. You follow this professor named Emily Wilde, who's a very like kind of stiff, awkward professor of fairies at Oxford, I think. And she gets sent on this field mission to study fairies, and then her annoying colleague tags along and things happen. The first book is more of like a wintry read, so if you haven't started it yet, I probably wouldn't. I don't know, you can read it in the spring, but like just know that the first one's not very springy. And then the second one is a little bit more springy, and then I'm hoping this third one is also springy. So we'll see. The last one is a nonfiction that I've had again for like a little while on my shelf, and this is The Oak Papers by James Canton. And this one says it's a memoir, an homage to an oak tree that meditates on the mysteries of nature. Oh, I love reading about trees in the spring and summer. This one has a quote from Peter Wolleben. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, I'm sorry. He's the author of The Hidden Life of Trees, and he said, "This is a profound meditation on the human need for connection with nature as one man seeks solace beneath the boughs of an ancient oak tree." I mean, I love reading about trees. So if you like reading things that make you feel connected to nature, then I highly recommend checking out some nonfiction books. I'm going to include some in the spring reading recommendations. Now, don't mind me. I just have my notes. Otherwise, I'm going to forget, because if there's one thing about me, I tried to make a booktube channel years ago, and I don't know how to talk about books. I know how to read them, but I don't know how to talk about them, so I wrote notes. Okay, now let's get into the spring reading recommendations. Take this list with a grain of salt. It's just maybe if you haven't heard of these books before. I really enjoyed them. I associate them with spring a lot. Spring and summer. I left off like the explicit summer ones, like the ones that mention that it takes place in summer. And these are kind of more like sunny weather, spring, summer, general books. So I split the recommendations up into 4 categories as well. First one is weird / mystery / dramatic fiction. If you want something that kind of makes you think, something that might kind of weird you out or unsettle you or be a little bit more intense, those are the books in this category. The second one is just like fantasy. The third is cozy / nature. So there are some like cozy fantasies in this category as well. And then the last one is nonfiction. Okay, the first one is in the weird / mysterious / dramatic fiction category, and this is the Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. Adrienne Young writes really atmospheric and immersive kind of literary fiction, magical realism, light fantasy, I find. So this one is a book that takes place in North Carolina on a flower farm, and it deals with like time travel. So it's quite dramatic, but it has that element of magical realism, and I honestly really liked it. It's one of my favorites that she's written that I've read so far. Okay, next up is People from My Neighborhood by Hiromi Kawakami. This is a tiny little book translated from the Japanese. For this one, I wrote, it's quirky vignettes of a small Japanese town, and it's a very quick read. And it has a cherry blossom on the front. Honestly, I just thought this cover was so freaking cute. And when I say it's quick vignettes, I mean it's literally like 2 pages. 2 small pages for like a quick little snapshot of a character in a town, and you kind of just bounce around and you get other people's perspectives of each other, and it's just a fun, easy read. You can read like a couple chapters in the mornings, and it just makes for a good little morning ritual, I find. Okay, the next one I don't own a copy of, but it is The Forest Brims Over by Maru Ayase. I don't think I'm saying that right. This one's also translated from the Japanese, and this one is a magical realism story about an exploited muse who turns into a forest, kind of in rebellion against her husband. This is also a quick read. It is a good kind of exploration on feminism and creativity and marital dynamics. Okay, the next one I will bring up is The Magus by John Fowles. Again, I don't know how to say it. This one is not a quick read. It's quite chunky. This one takes place on a Greek island with a rich, very mysterious billionaire. It's a very strange, mysterious, kind of thrilling and gaslighting book. It's very gripping. If you are up for a long read, I recommend this one. If not, just for reading it for like the Greek vibes, I think it's a good time. The last one in this category is My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. I think that everybody should read these books. This is the first book to the Neapolitan Quartet. It's about 2 girls growing up in Naples, and I think it begins in the 1950s and it follows them throughout their lives. But this first book is just kind of their childhood together growing up. And yeah, this is like I said, this is a must-read series, I think, especially if you're into like feminist literary fiction. It's absolutely fantastic. Moving on to the fantasy category. The first one I'm going to recommend is Age of Myth by Michael J. Sullivan. So this book is the first of a 6-book series called The Legends of the First Empire. This one's a really good mix between cozy and like pastoral fantasy and epic fantasy. It kind of takes place at the dawn of like modern civilization, and there is basically a war between humans and fairies, and you just follow that. It's one of my favorite fantasy series, honestly. Even though it's 6 books, they're extremely readable and honestly not too long. So I wish there was more. Highly recommend. Okay, this one is a YA fantasy or romanticize, which most people have probably already read, but if you haven't, I thought I would include it. This is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is the first book to a YA fantasy trilogy. Honestly, I won't say too much about it because I feel like it's super famous, other than the fact that it's just one of my favorite YA romanticises out there. I think Holly Black does fae stories incredibly well. She's probably my favorite who does them. And the world just feels so fully realized and enchanting. It's very enchanting and quite addicting as well. Another fantasy that I love is Strange the Dreamer by Leonie Taylor. This one is the first in a duology, and this one is kind of like a romantasy as well, or it has very strong romantic elements in it. This one follows a librarian on his quest to know more about a strange forgotten kingdom and the blue-skinned girl that he has dreams of. And yeah, this is a very strong like insta love story about halfway through, just a warning. But you have to read the first one and the second one. Read them back to back. It is a really good time, I promise you. Very good. This one obviously has to be included. It's Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. If you like the Studio Ghibli film, you have to read the original source material. I Don't Make the Rules. It's honestly very different from the film, but I think it's very charming in its own way. Howl and Sophie are just the best duo that there is. The good thing about reading children's books is that the writing is very spaced out and large. So it's just a nice read. Okay, we also have The Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. I have the 4-book bind up. This one is kind of a slow coming of age story about a young wizard discovering his powers for the first time. It's a very slow read, but it's really beautiful and reflective and calming. It feels almost like meditative when you read this. If you've read Ursula K. Le Guin's sci-fi at all, then I think you should read her fantasy as well, because it's very enjoyable if you like that kind of slow pace that her writing typically has. Okay, the last books I'll include in the fantasy category. Again, if you're a reader, you've probably read these or at least heard of them, but we have Circe by Madeline Miller and we have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. These ones are Greek mythological retellings, and I think if you're remotely interested in Greek mythology, you have absolutely got to read these. I feel like she's the first who really kickstarted this whole Greek mythology retelling trend that's in the publishing industry. These both are probably one of my favorite books of all time. They're both super immersive with the landscapes and the food and the descriptions, and the characters are all extremely fleshed out. You really feel for them, you know? Circe is a little bit more of a feminist tale of Circe, and then The Song of Achilles is a very tragic love story. All right, rapid fire through the cozy nature books because I don't actually own copies of any of these. Number 1, we have Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen. This is practical magic, but better. If you like witchy stories, if you like reading about cooking, baking, gardening, food, flowers, read this book. It's beautiful. 2. The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. This one was super popular when it first came out. This is a cozy romantasy. It's a very easy, warm, cozy read that follows a librarian and her magical spider plant assistant as they travel to the island that she grew up on because they're escaping a rebellion. They make a lot of jam, they make friends with the villagers, and they fall in love. So it's a very lovely story. This one is not fantasy, but this one is so cozy and warm, and it makes you feel like the sun is beaming down on you. Tom Lake by Anne Patchett. Side note, Meryl Streep narrates the audiobook, so if you're an audiobook girly, you will love it. This takes place on a family's orchard as they're picking some kind of fruit The mom is telling her daughters about her time growing up and joining a theater production, but it's kind of like theater camp or a summer camp, and her past loves, and it's very beautiful. Next we have Dandelion Wine by Ray Bradbury. I don't know why I can't say that. He writes really good seasonal reads, by the way. So this one is kind of like a spring read. This is a magical realism story that takes place in a small American town following a group of young boys with lots of nature imagery and like very descriptive, beautiful writing. The last one on this category is A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. This one is a cozy sci-fi. So if you're a sci-fi lover and you haven't read her Monk and a Robot series, you definitely should. This one is like philosophy light and very, very feel good. It follows a tea monk who kind of wanders into the wilderness, the forest, and he meets a robot, and they just have like conversations about existential dread and like the meaning of life. And I think it's a novella technically, so it's quite short. Okay, and then we're moving on to the last category, which is nonfiction. So my favorite nonfiction book ever, I think, is Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. I highly recommend this if you enjoy a mix of storytelling and knowledge sharing with your nonfictions. This one's really beautiful, and it really makes you just appreciate the land and like all the little critters and all the little plants. You gotta read it. You gotta read it. And then I have a couple of Mary Oliver recommendations. This one is Upstream, which is a essay collection by her. I enjoy an essay collection if you have a little morning routine where you like to read a little bit while you like have breakfast or whatever, read out on your balcony. It's very like bite-sized but contained, so you don't have to remember anything about the chapter previous. You can kind of just like jump in, bounce around, bop around, and read whatever. But her writing is very nature heavy, and so I love reading it in the springtime or the summer. And then similarly, we have her Devotions poetry collection. I mean, her poetry is what got me into poetry, honestly, because anything that's like nature poetry just it just hits different when you're sitting out listening to the birds and then you're reading a poem about listening to bird calls. Oh my God. And then the last one I'll mention is The Heartbeat of Trees by Peter Wohlleben. He also wrote the quote on the oak papers that I first mentioned. And the full title, I'll read it to you. The Heartbeat of Trees, Embracing Our Ancient Bond with Forests and Nature. I think the title really says it all. If you want to feel connected to the natural world, just reading a nonfiction about trees. It'll do it. It really will. Okay, those are all the spring recommendations I have for you. Those are the books that I'm planning on reading this spring. If you have any other springy reads, leave them in the comments below, please. And let me know what you are planning on reading to get you in the mood for spring, if you're a seasonal mood reader like I am. Okay, this is a bit of a side tangent, but I just have to inform everyone that my last keyboard broke, and so I got a new one, and I just need you to listen closely to this. Okay, listen up. You're welcome. Okay, y'all. I think we're gonna get ready to go on a little walkie walk. It's Good Friday today, April 18th. So I wanted to go to like a little bakery or coffee shop. I have to go to the drugstore and do some errands, and then I kind of just want to like soak up the warm weather because it's 17 degrees. Wow. Happy Saturday. I just got back from a little walk. It's about noon right now. and I'm going home for Easter, and so had to get a couple things because we're also celebrating my mom's birthday. Let me sit down. Sorry, I'm also doing laundry right now. It was a very blustery and sunny day. I was trekking all around town to pick up a cake and some flowers, and then I went to another flower shop, and then the cake started melting. It was very stressful, but I'm home now. And the bouquet that I got from my mom is already made, but I wanted to get some more fresh flowers to replace the old ones that we actually got in the last vlog, just to liven things up a little bit. So I got some cute tulips and another kind of flower. I don't know what they're called, but yeah, I thought we could just do like a little flower arranging moment. But yeah, I apologize for my hair. The problem with having a cowlick is that I'm walking around with like this sticking up in the air. I feel like literally nothing is clean right now, and it's driving me crazy because I just want to clean, but I'm busy, so I can't. But these are the flowers that I got from my mom, and then I just got some tulips, and then whatever these ones are called. And this is my previous floral arrangement. So aesthetic and pretty. I just let it dry out because it was getting nasty. We have this large watering receptacle to use as a vase as well, and then a little vase. And let's get to floral arranging. I'm gonna set these aside, and we're just gonna trim the ends of the flowers and figure out how we want them to be arranged, I guess. So something that I did want to talk about in this video is, well, one, we're romanticizing spring, but I'm really not like advocating for changing your whole entire, oh God, such a bad cut. Changing your whole entire routine unless that's what feels good to you. For me, I like to kind of incorporate like low effort, low energy modifications to my routines. So let me just fill this up. Also, the last time I got tulips, they grew so tall. I didn't know that they like grow upright so much. So low effort modifications based on the season, based on like your energy levels. So for me, it's not really about doing, you know, all of the activities, but it's more so just like little things here and there that I like to do that change up my routine in a way enough so that it feels like different and new and exciting. So like for me, I love flowers, and I love to just like go and get a little like $5 bunch of flowers. I think that's so fun. Gosh, why are these so like woody? So like going out and getting some flowers today was just such a lovely little treat that I like to do. Oh, these are hard to cut. Oh dear. Okay, oh, pretty. They're very like piney, and like I've never really been a huge bath girly, but I want to be somebody who takes baths. I think that's really lovely. So I did get a couple of little spring bath bombs from Lush, and I thought that it would be fun to just have like some extra self-care time during the spring because, you know, like summer's coming and maybe we're going to be wearing more revealing clothes, whatever. Maybe our feet are going to be out because we're going to be wearing sandals, God forbid. But I just thought like now is the time that I feel it's important to like kind of get your shit together in, you know, in a loving way. It's enjoyable, calming, like you feel good, you feel confident, just like taking care of those little things, in my opinion. So I wanted to be a bath girly. I also wanted to be like a coloring book girly because I've never had a coloring book before. So I thought like incorporating a little bit of coloring during the springtime in the mornings would be just such a fun little thing to do. I don't know. Oh gosh. Why are you making so much noise? Okay, this is really pretty, like pink and purples. Let me clean up this stuff a little bit. I'm really like bad at floral arranging. I think the shape is a little bit too crazy, so I might cut down some of these a little bit more. And I also have this little vase that I thought it could be fun to put some stuff into, but I don't know. Let's try to trim some of these little bunches a little bit more. Okay, cute. Ooh. Okay, none are going in that little vase. That's okay. Howdy doodle. We have a coffee. Second coffee of the day, but first iced coffee. And we have a little mango cheese tart. And I am in desperate need of, I need to make a birthday card for my mom. So we're gonna make that right now. I wanted to speak a little bit more on fun, low stakes things that you can do to kind of romanticize the season. So exhibit A, taking a daily routine, a daily thing that you do and making it a little bit different, a little bit special, treating yourself every once in a while. And making it something that you really look forward to. Like, I always look forward to drinking a coffee and having a little treat with it. Another thing that I implemented today, which maybe this speaks to you, maybe it doesn't, is to put on a pretty dress or something flowy. Like, even if you're not a dress person, like a flowy skirt, a flowy shirt that makes you feel pretty, flowy bottoms, and then just like having them billowing through the wind, billowing through the breeze is kind of nice. That's something that I feel very strongly about, especially as I've gotten older. I'm like, I want the dresses. Something that I realized from yesterday's little outing, going to a little coffee shop and getting a treat, and then like going and sitting under the trees and reading a little bit of my book, is that I always wanted to be a coffee shop girly, but I don't think I like them. I love like finding new places to get treats at and like getting coffee, getting tea. I do enjoy that, but I don't enjoy like the ambiance of a coffee shop, especially when they're so busy. It feels like you're not welcomed. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I'm sure there's like in different areas of the world, there's ones where it's like the busyness makes it feel very like lively and homey, and yeah, I'm sure there's all sorts of different like neighborhood cafes that are super cute, but I always feel like I can't relax. I feel like stressed out. So I enjoy just getting a little treat to go and then taking it to like a nicer calm spot. I need to look on Pinterest. For some card inspiration. But look how crazy this is. I have an ad blocker, I guess, on my computer, and it says, please disable your ad blocker to access more features and get the full experience. When you have the ad blocker on, look how much blank space. Like, these are all ads. That's insanity. I wasn't really planning on painting in this video, but alas, duty calls. I feel like when the weather starts to warm up, there can be a lot more pressure to like make the most out of, you know, the sunny weather and make the most out of the season and to like do all of the things. But to be honest, like that's not what interests me on a regular basis. Like making the most out of the season is not in the big grand scheme things. It's in the small day-to-day things. The little things that you include, the little things that you make a little ritual or whatever. Those are the things that make me feel like I'm making the most or whatever. Because ultimately those are the things that, you know, our lives aren't made up of just weekends. Our lives are made up of little moments every day. It's important to like give yourself little things to look forward to each day. If you can find like the energy and if you have like the mental fortitude to like go out and do a lot of things, then go out and do that if that's what makes you happy. But if you're more of an introvert or like more low energy like me, then I like to just, you know, stick to my little routines, my little things that make me happy. Good morning, but transparently, good afternoon. I wanted to film a little mini morning routine for spring. I couldn't film until now because I wanted to hog the apartment and I wanted to wait until my partner left so that I could yap. But I wanted to introduce, first of all, we got a new table, which is such a key element to my life, is having a dining table to kind of like spread out at and like be not always tucked away in my office being a hermit. So I love to spend my mornings here having a coffee, having a little treat. Today I'm having a carrot cake. It's actually Easter, so I have a lot of treats to choose from. We are filled to the brim with treats. Along with having my coffee and my little treat, I love to do Wordle. This is kind of a little mini tradition that my partner and I started when we were at our past apartment. We would sit at the dining table in the morning and do the Wordle together on his phone, but we have such different schedules now, like we're not up really at the same times in the morning, so I got it on my iPad like an old geezer with the giant screen, and so I've just been playing some of the little word puzzles on there, and that's something I really like to do in the morning. Something that's like really engaging but good for your brain at the same time. And then along with that, I wanted to be a cozy coloring book girly. So I got a couple coloring books. This one is called Cozy Corner, Cute and Comfy Coloring Book by Wilde. It's so freaking cute. And then this one is Tiny Gardens, Cute and Comfy Coloring Book by Coloring Book Cafe. And this one's like a lot of plants and stuff. So I'm really excited to dive into those. I thought that could be like a good, quiet morning ritual when I want to just like treat myself to something almost and give myself a bit of a break, but also feel that like deep satisfaction and relaxation that comes with coloring and like creating art. And then I have a bunch of markers. These are super old. These are probably like 5 years old, but these are the Tombow water-based brush tip markers. They have a brush tip at one end and a fine tip at the other. But I do love brush tip markers. They're really satisfying. I used to do calligraphy with them a lot. That's why I have a bunch. But I think a lot of them are probably a little bit worn out. They're also water-based, so not like that satisfying alcohol-based that I know like the Ohuhu markers are. Yeah, just having little moments to be creative and to kind of clock out of like the doom scroll, but also like clock in to like yourself and like being in the moment and like being intentional with a little hobby time. Yeah, I thought we could do a little bit of coloring. We can pick a coloring page. Oh, they're so cute. And then I think lastly, we're gonna finish off this little romanticizing spring weekend vlog with a cozy little bath. Hi y'all, we have finished with our bath. I'm feeling very relaxed and sleepy, but I'm gonna make some dinner now and get some more work done for tonight. But just wanted to show off my finished gallery wall. I think it's done. We added this one, which my boyfriend picked up for me today off of Marketplace. I got that one recently, and then this one recently as well. And then I just did some reconfiguration, so I just wanted to show that. And excuse my hair. This is post-bath hair. But thank you for joining me on this little romanticizing spring vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you maybe a little bit of inspiration on how to romanticize your routine a little bit. And if not, I hope you get to go on just like a lovely spring walk soon and enjoy the cherry blossom trees or the regular trees, or I hope you see some tulips. That is my wish for you. And I hope it brings you a lot of joy. I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.